She came home for Christmas hoping for love but found silence, judgment, and racism instead. Rejected by her own blood, she walked into the cold night alone, unaware that one unexpected choice would change her life forever. The suitcase stood upright near the front door, perfectly packed, just like her life appeared to be. Neat, organized, successful. Yet as Amara Collins stood in her apartment, staring at the blinking Christmas lights wrapped loosely around the window frame, she felt anything but steady. Outside, Auckland's evening sky was fading into a soft indigo, the city humming with holiday anticipation. Couples walked hand in hand beneath glowing shopfronts. Laughter spilled out of cafes. Christmas music floated through the air, light and cheerful. Inside her apartment, silence pressed heavy against her chest. Amara exhaled slowly and checked her phone again. "Mom, we're expecting you by 6. Dinner won't wait. No heart emoji. No drive safe. No we're happy you're coming. Just logistics." She locked the phone screen and leaned her forehead briefly against the cool glass of the window. "Why does this still affect me?" she whispered to herself. At 35, Amara had done everything she was told would bring happiness. She had a senior leadership role at a consulting firm, financial independence, a reputation for excellence, her own apartment in one of the city's best neighborhoods. She had spoken at conferences, mentored young professionals, built a life with intention, yet none of it seemed to count where it mattered most. Home. Growing up, Amara learned early that love in her family came with conditions. Be respectable but not too ambitious. Be confident but not too outspoken. Be successful, but don't forget your place. And above all, don't challenge tradition. Her mother, Evelyn Collins, believed deeply in appearances, in what looked right, in what fit in, and Amara never quite did. A younger Amara sat at the kitchen table, university acceptance letter in hand. "I got into Wellington," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. "It's one of the top programs." Her mother didn't smile. "That's very far," Evelyn replied. "And consulting? That's demanding. Are you sure you don't want something more stable?" Amara had nodded back then. Always nodding. Always shrinking. Back in the present, Amara zipped the suitcase shut. This Christmas was supposed to be different. After years of polite distance and missed holidays, she had decided to go home, not because things had magically healed, but because she was tired of carrying the weight alone. She had bought thoughtful gifts. Not extravagant, just intentional. A silk scarf for her mother. A custom photo book for the family. Small hopeful gestures. As she stepped out into the hallway, locking the door behind her, her reflection caught in the mirror by the elevator. Tall. Poised. Natural curls pulled back neatly. A woman who had fought for every inch of her life. Just survive the night, she told herself softly. One night. The house looked exactly the same. Same pale exterior. Same perfectly trimmed hedges. Same wreath on the door that Evelyn replaced every year without fail. It smelled like pine cleaner and roast meat. The door opened before Amara could knock. "Oh," her mother said, eyes flicking quickly over her outfit. "You're wearing that? Not hello. Not welcome home." Amara smiled anyway. "Merry Christmas, Mum." Evelyn stepped aside, already turning back toward the kitchen. Dinner's almost ready. Inside, the house buzzed with controlled chaos. Voices overlapping, plates clinking, the television murmuring softly in the background. Relatives glanced up as Amara entered. Some smiled politely. Others barely acknowledged her. She felt 12 again. Her aunt leaned toward another cousin and whispered something that ended in a quiet laugh. Amara pretended not to notice. She always did. At the dinner table, Amara sat where there happened to be space, not where she was invited. Her mother placed dishes down with sharp precision. "So," Evelyn said finally without looking at her, "still traveling all the time?" "Yes," Amara replied evenly. "It's part of the role." "That must be exhausting," her mother said. "For a woman." Amara paused. "I enjoy it." Evelyn hummed non-committally. "Well, everyone has their phase." A cousin snorted softly. Something inside Amara tightened, but she swallowed it down. One night, she reminded herself. As plates were passed and conversations continued around her. Amara realized something painful and familiar. She wasn't a guest. She wasn't family. She was an exception they tolerated, as long as she didn't remind them of what they were uncomfortable facing. And Christmas had only just begun. The clink of cutlery against porcelain filled the room, sharp, rhythmic, almost accusatory. Amara sat with her back straight, hands folded neatly in her lap, her smile frozen into something practiced and polite. Around her, conversations flowed effortlessly, overlapping and loud, like she wasn't there at all. Her cousin Mark leaned back in his chair, laughing loudly. "So yeah," he said, wiping his mouth with a napkin. "My boss says if I don't slow down, I'll burn out. Guess hard work doesn't impress like it used to." Evelyn chuckled. "Some people are just meant for simpler lives." Amara looked up, meeting her mother's eyes. The words weren't directed at her, but they were about her. She chose not to respond. She always did. Her aunt leaned forward, smiling thinly. "So Amara," she said, "you still living alone?" "Yes," Amara replied calmly. "Oh," the woman said, nodding slowly. "That must get lonely." Across the table someone murmured, "She's married to her job." Laughter followed. Amara felt the heat rise in her chest. Not explosive, not dramatic, but slow and suffocating, like smoke filling a room. She cut a small piece of turkey and chewed without tasting it. Her mother finally looked at her. "You know," Evelyn said, "I worry about you." Amara stiffened. "About what?" Evelyn sighed, as if burdened by concern. "You've made life so difficult for yourself." Difficult. Not ambitious. Not courageous. Not resilient. Difficult. If strength had a sound, Amara thought, it would be silence. The kind you learn when speaking only invites correction. The kind you master when defending yourself becomes exhausting. She had learned it young. At school, when teachers mispronounced her name. At work, when she had to be twice as good to be half as visible. At home, where love came wrapped in disappointment. And still she had hoped. That was the part that hurt the most. It happened casually. That's how these things always happen. Mark leaned over, swirling his drink. "You know," he said, nodding toward Amara, "you don't really talk like the rest of us." The table grew quieter. "What do you mean?" Amara asked evenly. Mark shrugged. "I don't know. You sound different. More corporate. Less." He hesitated, searching for the word. "Family." A few people laughed awkwardly. Someone added, "She's gone all professional on us." Another voice chimed in. "Yeah, you'd never guess where she came from if you didn't know." Amara's fork paused midair. Her heart thudded once. Twice. She looked at her mother. Evelyn said nothing. No correction. No discomfort. No defense. Just silence. Amara set her fork down gently. The room seemed to tilt. "I'm going to step outside for a moment," she said quietly. No one stopped her. No one asked if she was okay. The chair scraped softly against the floor as she stood. As she walked toward the door, she felt something unfamiliar settle into her chest. Not anger. Clarity. The cold hit her immediately. Sharp. Honest. She inhaled deeply, the night air burning her lungs, grounding her in a way the house never had. Christmas lights blinked across neighboring homes. Laughter drifted faintly through windows. Amara wrapped her coat tighter around herself. Her phone buzzed. A message from her mother. "Mom, don't be dramatic. Come back inside." Amara stared at the screen. Then slowly, she locked the phone. She didn't go back in. She walked. Past houses filled with warmth that didn't belong to her. Past families gathered around tables that made room for everyone. Past versions of herself that had once begged to fit in. Her boots echoed against the pavement. Each step felt heavier and freer. For the first time, she let the tears fall. Not loud. Not broken. Just honest. Rejection hurts most when it comes wrapped in familiarity. When it comes from people who taught you what love was supposed to look like, and then withheld it when you grew into yourself. Amara had spent her life proving she deserved space. Tonight she stopped asking. At the corner of a quiet street, she slowed. Ahead of her, warm light spilled from a building she didn't recognize. Laughter. Music. The smell of food. A sign hung above the door. Community Christmas dinner. All welcome. Amara hesitated. She had nowhere to go. And for the first time in her life, She considered walking toward people who didn't know her name, but might finally see her. Amara stood across the street, frozen. The building wasn't fancy. No grand decorations. No polished windows. Just warmth. Soft yellow light spilled onto the pavement, cutting through the cold like an open hand. Through the glass doors she could see people moving, setting tables, laughing, hugging. Children ran past carrying paper snowflakes. Someone inside was tuning a guitar, strings humming gently. The sign above the entrance swayed slightly in the wind. Community Christmas dinner, all welcome. All welcome, she whispered. The words felt dangerous, because welcome was something she had learned not to expect. Amara's instinct was to turn away. She didn't belong there. She wasn't poor. She wasn't struggling in the way people expected. She still had a home, a job, a life that looked complete from the outside. But the ache in her chest told a different story. Belonging wasn't about what you had. It was about where you could breathe. Her phone buzzed again in her pocket. She didn't check it. Instead, she crossed the street. The moment she stepped inside, warmth wrapped around her like a blanket. Not just heat, but presence. The air smelled of spices, baked bread, and something sweet she couldn't name. Long tables were covered with mismatched cloths. Plates were being stacked. Volunteers moved with purpose, not perfection. A woman with silver-streaked hair looked up and smiled. "Hi there," she said warmly. "Are you here for dinner?" Amara hesitated. "Yes," she said finally. "I think so." The woman's smile widened. "Then you're exactly where you need to be." Something in Amara's throat tightened. The woman handed her a cup of something warm. "Soup," she said. "Best cure for cold nights." Amara took it carefully. "Thank you." "No problem," the woman replied, already moving on. "Find a seat wherever feels right." Wherever feels right. The phrase echoed in her mind. She scanned the room. People of every age. Every shade. Every story. A man in a worn jacket laughed loudly with a child sitting on his shoulders. A young woman adjusted a hijab while helping set plates. An elderly couple sat close, hands entwined, sharing a quiet smile. No one stared at Amara. No one evaluated her. They just let her be. She chose a seat near the end of a table. For once, she wasn't afraid of taking up space. The food was simple, but it tasted like care. As people passed dishes down the table, hands brushed. Smiles were exchanged. Names offered without expectation. "I'm Lena," said the woman beside her. "First time here." Amara nodded. "Yes." Lena smiled knowingly. "Me too. Though somehow it already feels familiar." Amara glanced at her. "Yes," she said softly. "It does." As dinner progressed, conversations deepened naturally. No forced cheer. No performance. Just truth. Lena spoke about losing contact with her parents after coming out. Across the table, a man shared how his accent had cost him job opportunities. Someone else talked about being told they were too much their entire life. Amara listened, and for the first time in years, she didn't feel alone in her experiences. She hadn't imagined the looks, the comments, the silence. Others had lived it too. It happened quietly. Someone asked, "What brought you here tonight?" Amara looked down at her hands. Then slowly she spoke. "I went home for Christmas," she said, "and realized I didn't belong there anymore." No one interrupted. No one rushed her. "I've spent my whole life trying to prove I deserve love," she continued. "Trying to be acceptable, palatable, less threatening." Her voice wavered. "And tonight, I realized that being tolerated isn't the same as being loved." Silence followed, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was respectful. Lena reached out, resting a hand over Amara's. "You deserve more than tolerance," she said. "So do we all." Amara swallowed hard. Something inside her cracked open. Later that evening, a woman approached the table. She carried herself with quiet authority. Calm, observant, grounded. "I'm Ruth," she said. "I run this center." Amara nodded politely. "Thank you for being here tonight," Ruth continued. "And for sharing earlier." Amara blinked. "I didn't realize." Ruth smiled gently. "I listen," she said. "It's kind of my job." They shared a small laugh. "There's something about you," Ruth added. "You speak with intention." You lead without trying. Amara looked surprised. I'm just surviving, she replied. Ruth shook her head. No, she said. You're building, even when you don't realize it. As the night went on, Amara helped clean tables, laughing softly with strangers who felt less strange by the minute. For the first time that day, perhaps in years, her shoulders relaxed. Ruth watched from a distance, seeing potential, seeing someone who didn't just endure pain, but understood it. Sometimes, healing doesn't arrive as a grand moment. It arrives quietly, in shared meals, in open chairs, in rooms where no one asks you to explain your worth. Amara had walked into the night feeling unwanted. She sat now, surrounded by people who asked nothing of her, and offered everything she didn't know she needed. As coats were gathered and chairs stacked, Amara felt something unfamiliar settle into her chest. Not relief, purpose. Her phone buzzed again. This time she looked. Mom calling. Amara stared at the screen. The past was calling. But for the first time, she wasn't sure she wanted to answer. The phone vibrated again in Amara's hand. Mom calling. The screen glowed softly in the dim corner of the community center, as volunteers stacked chairs and folded tablecloths. The room that had felt so alive only moments ago was slowly winding down, like a long, gentle exhale. Amara didn't move. Her thumb hovered above the screen. For years she had answered every call, no matter how tired she was, no matter how small she felt afterward, no matter how much it cost her. Answering had become instinct, duty, love, at least the version she had been taught. The phone buzzed again, then stopped. Silence. She closed her eyes, and for the first time, she asked herself a question she had never allowed before. What do I want? Around her, people hugged goodbye. See you next week. Drive safe. Thank you for tonight. Simple words. Genuine care. Ruth approached quietly, slipping on her coat. You don't have to rush off, she said gently. You're welcome to stay a bit. Amara looked up surprised. Thank you, she said. I just need a moment. Ruth nodded, understanding more than she said. I'll be outside, she replied. No pressure. As Ruth walked away, Amara sat back down, phone still in her hand. Her reflection stared back at her from the black screen. A woman who had spent her life bending, who had learned to soften her voice, her success, her truth. Tonight had cracked something open. And once something opens, it can't be forced closed again. The phone rang a third time. This time Amara answered. Amara? Her mother's voice came through, tight and unfamiliar. Where are you? The old version of her would have apologized immediately. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset anyone. I'll come back. But that voice didn't rise. Instead, Amara said calmly, I'm somewhere safe. A pause. You embarrassed me, Evelyn said finally. Walking out like that, in front of everyone. Amara closed her eyes. There it was. Still about appearances. Still about control. Mom, she said slowly, do you know why I left? Another pause. I didn't raise you to be so sensitive, Evelyn replied. They were just joking. Amara felt the familiar sting, but it didn't take root this time. No, she said quietly. They weren't. Her mother exhaled sharply. You always make everything about race, Evelyn said. Why can't you just let things go? The words hit hard, but Amara didn't flinch. Because letting things go is how people keep getting hurt, Amara said. And I'm tired of pretending it doesn't matter. Silence. Then something unexpected. Crack. I didn't know what to say, Evelyn admitted softly. When they made that comment, Amara's chest tightened. I needed you to say something, she replied. I needed you to protect me. Her mother's voice wavered. I thought staying quiet would keep the peace. Amara's voice didn't rise. But it didn't keep me safe. The words hung between them. Heavy. True. Minutes passed. Then Evelyn spoke again, different this time. I failed you, she said. Amara froze. I didn't want to see it, her mother continued. How often you've had to be strong. How much you've carried alone. Amara felt tears gather, but she didn't interrupt. I thought if you just fit in better, Evelyn whispered, life would be easier for you. Her voice broke. I didn't realize I was asking you to disappear. Amara's breath caught. This was the apology she had waited years for. The one she had dreamed would fix everything. Her mother continued, "I'm sorry. For the comments. For the silence. For choosing comfort over you." Amara pressed her fingers into her palm. This was the moment she had imagined. The moment where she returned home. Where things changed. Where love finally felt unconditional. Evelyn spoke again. "Please come back," she said softly. "We can talk. We can try." Amara stood slowly, walking toward the exit of the community center. Through the glass doors she could see Ruth talking with a group of volunteers, laughing easily. No masks. No performances. Belonging. She closed her eyes. "Mom," Amara said gently, "I love you." Evelyn let out a shaky breath. "But," Amara continued, "I can't come back tonight." "What?" her mother whispered. "Not because I don't care," Amara said, "but because I finally do. I've spent my life hoping you'd choose me," Amara said. "Tonight I chose myself." Her mother didn't respond right away. When she did, her voice was small. "So, that's it." Amara shook her head, though Evelyn couldn't see it. "No," she said. "It's a beginning. But only if things change." Another pause. "I need space," Amara continued. "And honesty. And accountability." She took a steady breath. "I can't be in rooms where racism is tolerated. Even if those rooms are family." The words felt terrifying. And freeing. "I hope one day we can rebuild," Amara said. "But it can't be at the cost of my dignity." Silence. Then, "I understand," Evelyn said quietly. The call ended. Amara lowered the phone. Her hands were shaking. But her spine was straight. She stepped outside. The night air was cold but no longer harsh. Ruth looked up as Amara approached. "You okay?" she asked. Amara nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. I finally am." Ruth smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." They walked together down the steps. "You spoke tonight," Ruth said. "And people listened." Amara shrugged lightly. "I just told the truth." "That's rarer than you think," Ruth replied. She stopped, turning to face her. "We're starting a new youth program in the new year," Ruth continued. "For kids dealing with family rejection, identity issues, racism." Amara's heart skipped. "We could use someone like you," Ruth said. "Someone who understands and knows how to lead." The words settled in Amara's chest. "Warm. Real. Think about it," Ruth added. "No pressure." Amara smiled. "I already know my answer," she said. As Amara walked into the night, phone silent in her pocket, she realized something profound. She hadn't lost her family that evening. She had lost the version of herself that accepted less than she deserved. And ahead of her was a life built on choice. Morning arrived quietly. No alarms. No rushing. No weight pressing against Amara's chest. For the first time in years, she woke up without the familiar knot of guilt or anticipation, without bracing herself for disappointment. Soft winter light filtered through the curtains of her apartment as she sat up in bed, wrapped in silence that felt peaceful instead of lonely. Her phone lay on the bedside table. No new messages. And for once that didn't hurt. Amara made coffee slowly, intentionally. She stood by the window, mug warming her hands, watching the city come alive. A family walked past below, children tugging excitedly at their parents' coats. Somewhere someone laughed. She didn't feel excluded. She felt present. Her reflection stared back at her in the glass. Same woman. Same face. But something fundamental had shifted. She was no longer waiting to be chosen. Later that afternoon, Amara found herself back at the community center. Not because she had nowhere else to go, but because she wanted to be there. The doors were open. Sunlight poured in. Volunteers moved about, preparing leftover meals to distribute. Ruth looked up when she saw her. "You came back," she said, smiling. Amara smiled back. "I think this place already feels like mine." Ruth nodded, as if she had known all along. Over the next few days, Amara kept returning. She helped organize donations. She listened to stories. She spoke, sometimes quietly, sometimes boldly. Young people gravitated toward her. A teenage boy who had stopped speaking to his parents. A girl who felt invisible at school because of her accent. A young woman torn between tradition and truth. They listened when Amara spoke. Because she didn't speak at them. She spoke from experience. One evening, Ruth handed her a folder. "It's official," she said. "If you want it." Amara opened it slowly. Program lead, youth empowerment and advocacy. Her chest tightened. Not from fear. From alignment. "Yes," Amara said simply. "I want this." Ruth smiled wide. "Then welcome home." Weeks passed. The center transformed. Walls once bare now displayed artwork from local kids. Support circles formed. Stories were shared openly. And Amara thrived. Not because the work was easy, but because it was honest. She still received occasional messages from her mother. Careful ones. Learning ones. Not perfect, but different. Amara replied when she was ready. Not out of obligation. Out of choice. Family isn't always the people who raised you. Sometimes it's the people who remind you who you are. Sometimes it's the place where your pain becomes purpose. And sometimes it's the table that saves you when you finally stop begging for a seat elsewhere. On Christmas Eve 1 year later, the community center buzzed with life. Lights, music, laughter. Amara stood at the front of the room watching families gather. Some broken, some healing, all welcome. Ruth caught her eye and nodded proudly. Amara smiled. She hadn't escaped her past. She had transformed it. Amara once believed belonging was something you earned. Now she knew. It was something you chose. The camera lingers as she places an extra chair at a table, just in case someone needs it. Sometimes it takes leaving behind what hurts, to find where you truly belong. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it.